This episode is brought to you by Pause, Breathe, Reflect, the app that can help bring more mindfulness to your everyday moments. Imagine what would be possible if more people could live more mindfully. Hey there, it's Michael. Welcome to the Kintsugi Podcast, a show for perfectly imperfect people everywhere. So I should start off by saying Happy New Year. Welcome to 2025. I'm glad we're here. 24 threw a lot at us, right? So I'm not sure about you, but I am grateful that we get to start a new year together. And this is being released on January 3rd, which means we're 2 days in to pursuing our New Year's resolutions. And I know some of you said, I ain't doing that stuff. I know the data. It's a setup for failure. I'm not partaking. And I get you. I feel you. And some of you started off with a few resolutions, but 2 days in, you're already tapped out. And that makes you perfectly human. But I know some of you are still pursuing those resolutions, those goals, and I'm here to offer you support as you continue to pursue the next level of you. But have you ever wondered how this all began? All this hype, the hoopla about resolutions and goals and a new year and a new you? Well, let me take you back a few thousand years to 2000 BCE and the Babylonians. We can blame it all on them, although we've amped it up a bit with all of our fanfare of current day. Well, back then, the calendar started in mid-March because we had more of an agricultural bent to our lives. And in mid-March, when seeds were planted, there was a 12-day period of time called AKITU. And during this period of time, people would pray to the gods and make commitments that they would repay their debts and return borrowed items. 2 righteous things to do. So that's how it all began. We can blame it on the Babylonians again. But again, we've taken a good idea, repaying debt and returning borrowed items, and we made it into something else with a whole bunch of courses and advice and the whole nine. Well, from the Babylonians, we come to Julius Caesar, who may or may not be the inspiration behind the smoothie company at the mall, Orange Julius. Well, he moved the calendar from mid-March as the beginning to January 1st. And back then, people would pray to the two-faced god named Janus, the god of new beginnings, time, and yes, doorways, because as you walk through a doorway, it's a new beginning. And here's a little fun fact that you can wow your friends at happy hour with, or your colleagues. You can use this as an icebreaker. You can even put this on your eHarmony, Match, Bumblebee, Tinder, whatever apps are out there for dating to attract the person that you wish to attract. But did you know that Janus, a Roman god, didn't have a Greek counterpart? One of the few gods that don't. So there's no Greek Janus out there. I know. Amazing, right? The wisdom you can gain by listening to this podcast. You will wow people with your brilliance. So back then, though, during the Orange Julius reign of terror, people would pray to Janus and saying, hey, we're going to be a better person. Work on some things. Now we can fast forward to the mid-19th century and we became all secular. We started doing other things that weren't about praying to a god, but just working on things that we wanted to work on. And now, fast forward to 2025, we got a whole bunch, thanks to social media, on how to be a better person in the new year. But we're not that successful. The data is quite clear. In fact, the fitness app called Strava, which I think should be more optimistic, they came up with the word or the day called Quitter's Day, which is the second Friday in January. So this year it's January 10th, a week away. They've dubbed that the day where everyone quits. Again, not too optimistic, not too hopeful. Now, the real data, I think, states that January 19th is more the quitting day. But amongst friends, are we going to argue about 9 days? Anyway, you slice it, we don't have much success in making these resolutions stick. And there are many factors behind that. One, we take on too ambitious of goals. We bite at the apple, take too big of a bite. But there's something missing in the dialogue. And in the month of December, as we celebrated the return of Notre, rising up from the ashes, from the fire in 2019, I've thought about this as it relates to how we get after our goals and what I went through back in 2001 when I was basically burnt to the ground. Here's the thing. Yeah, there are a lot of different reasons why we don't have success in pursuing our resolutions, but we don't start with establishing a strong foundation. Notre Dame was burnt to the ground before they started rebuilding it. They had to inspect the foundation, make sure it was strong enough to rebuild on. If you've ever done a home reno where you've torn your house all the way down, as we have, we had to look at our foundation. We had to get it inspected before we decided to build upon it. Because if you don't build on a strong foundation, everything will crumble over time. So as people ooh and ah about all the new things, how Notre Dame has been transformed, all those photos on social media, all those news articles, everything that we are celebrating, no one's posting a photo of the foundation. But that foundation is key. Again, I learned that as I was recovering from my accident. I had to rebuild my whole foundation. And through that experience and through interviewing a whole host of different people and through my own research around how does change stick, what I've discovered is a strong foundation usually has 4 cornerstones. One is a practice of gratitude to help us see what we still have and can do. All the things that can help us solve the problems that we might face as we travel forward. The second is all about knowing our first principles and our values so we can live a life in alignment. If life is a journey, if we're all on a road trip, our values help guide our trip forward. The third is, again, if we're on a road trip, we got to have the right people in our car, the right personal board of directors, or as I would say, the right peloton, which is a cycling term and very French, I might add. Having the right people in our lives, the people that bring out the best in us, that's key. And the fourth is having some type of contemplative practice like pause, breathe, reflect. So you can create some space, so you can be thoughtful about where you want to put your stones, where you want to place your bricks. And what binds it all together, the mortar, if you will, is having a good story about yourself. It's the story we tell ourselves about ourselves. Like, we're the type of people that can make resolutions stick. We're the type of people who can do hard things. That sets forth a solid foundation. And as we think about building personal cathedrals, I come from a philosophy of your not so big home. It's about quality, not quantity. So as we build better, not bigger, we can build a cathedral of any size, but still that foundation is essential. So once our foundation is set, then we can start talking about what we want to get after. Of course, we need the whys behind it. Simon Sinek is famous for start with why. It's not his thing originally. You can go back to Aristotle. You can go back to Viktor Frankl, Jim Collins, Peter Drucker. They all talk about the importance of why. So why is needed. A reason to get through the tough moments, if you will. The what is easy. That's the stuff like reading a whole bunch of books or running a marathon or losing weight. Those are all the moments we do capture and post. That's the stuff that's celebrated. But we don't spend enough time on how we're about to do it. And we certainly don't spend hardly any time at all on the foundation. That's the below ground stuff. The above ground stuff, like the stained glass windows of Notre Dame, we celebrate. But we need all of it in order to make these resolutions stick. So regardless of when you start to get after a goal, it could be the new year, it could be during planting season, it could be on your birthday or another milestone throughout the year. July 11th happens to be one of mine. That's when I start new things. That's the anniversary of my accident. It's good to check in with your foundation. Make sure it's strong enough before you build anything new. And as you do build something new, one great approach, and the research really points to this, is do things in bite-sized manner. Small steps, if you will. Small steps consistently over time. That's how you bring about change. That's how you make it less transactional and increase your likelihood of making it more of a way of living. That, along with making the whole process as frictionless as possible. So you stack your habits. So if reading 12 books is a goal for you this year, if it's a resolution, then read every day, even if it's just one page. And find the best time during the day for you to read. If it's right at bedtime, then stack reading along with brushing your teeth before you shut off the lights. Make it simple. I've been having a glass of water every day for the last 20 years. Now it's AG1, and it's automatic. I don't even have to think about it. It's just a way of me living. For everyone out there that's come to me, thousands of people wanting to start a meditation practice, and they try to bite at the apple in too big of a way, going after a 20-minute or 30-minute or 45-minute practice and being successful until Quitter's Day or January 19th or March 17th or whatever. I say, hey, if you don't have 10 minutes in the morning, I bet you have 5 times throughout the day where you have 2 minutes. Start there. Start with just a minute. 1 minute matters. If you do 1 minute a day, every day, then that begins to change you. I believe this is one big vision I have for our cathedral, is that 8 billion people will practice pausing, breathing, or reflecting for a minute each day. Imagine if we all did that for just a minute each day. The world, I think, would be a much, much better place. More peaceful, kinder, more thoughtful. So we can do this thing called New Year's resolutions. We can pull from the days of the Babylonians, and we can return our borrowed items, we can repay debts, and we can get after those big things that we want to do. But we have to start, we should start with a strong foundation. And as we get after whatever we want to get after, do it in a way where we take small steps consistently over time and make the whole process, the how, as frictionless as possible. That helps us achieve our what, and that helps fulfill our greater why, which is all about putting a better ripple into the world. That's how we change it. If you're not receiving my Ripple Effect newsletter as of yet, as we start the year, I hope you'll go to michaelobrienshift.com, sign up, because in another week or so, I'm going to do my very first flash sale where I'm going to make it available to the public, our Choose Joy t-shirt, which you can see on YouTube, or our Choose Compassion sweatshirt, which is butter soft. It's so awesome. But you're going to need to be on my email list in order to get access to the sale, which will only be for a week. So I hope you'll do that. And to help you start the year off in the way that can help you create a great ripple and put that great ripple into the world, I'm giving away complimentary copies of my second book, My Last Bad Day Shift. So if you'd like a copy, let me know. I'll put it in the mail to you so you can help strengthen your foundation, so you can get after what you want to get after, so you can defy all the statistics. You can be part of the group that makes your resolutions happen. And when you do that, you start to change the conversation you have with yourself. And when you do that, you put a bigger ripple into the world. And right now, as we start 2025, the world needs your ripple. It needs your energy. We're going to do a lot this year. So we might as well do it from a position of having a strong foundation and in a way that helps us come together in our Kintsugi spirit. I love you for listening. Thank you very much. I hope you'll tell your friends about our podcast. And until next week, which happens to be Quitter's Day, but we're not going to quit. No. Let's celebrate our scars as golden symbols of strength and resilience. And I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
This episode is brought to you by Pause, Breathe, Reflect, the app that can help bring more mindfulness to your everyday moments. Imagine what would be possible if more people could live more mindfully.